House Speaker Kevin McCarthy scoring a victory in Washington's showdown over the debt ceiling, with Republicans squeezing a bill through the House that would extend the debt limit for a year in return for spending cuts and support for the fossil fuel industry, among other things. Now the Senate's getting ready to take on the fight as the bill heads their way. Joining us for more is former U.S. Senator Pat Toomey, and it might be former, but I'm sure you're watching closely and still talking, still clued in, Senator. It's good to have you on.
Good to be with you, Joe.
I don't know how this is going to play out. We had Speaker McCarthy on yesterday. I worry that President Biden at least has the impression that nothing that he does really can stick to him in terms of things. But today there are a couple of editorials, and admittedly it's in the Wall Street Journal, but Kimberly Strassel says, look, unity is powerful. And some of these guys in the House had never voted in their life for a debt ceiling increase. And to be able to get them to do it, it's the only bill there now that's even around that raises the debt ceiling. So if the brinkmanship continues, it's going to be President Biden's fault. Do you buy that?
Yeah, so a couple of things. First, let me start, Joe, with something that's really important and it's lost in this conversation. Your viewers should understand, I'm sure many do, there's pretty much a 0% chance that the United States will fail to make a payment on any of our debt. There's not going to be a default on the debt. Even if the debt ceiling is not raised by the ex-state, ongoing tax revenue is about 8 times the amount of money needed to service our debt. We hear the administration talk about what a calamity it would be if we missed the payment on our debt, which is true. Why then would Janet Yellen choose to miss a payment on the debt? If we go past the ex-date, then there'll be vendors who won't get paid on time. It'll be like a partial government shutdown, which is not ideal. I hope that doesn't happen, but it's not the same thing. That argument is made by people who want to delegitimize the Republican position that this is a moment where we've got to begin to address the spending. Your point, I think, is exactly right. Kim Strassel's point is exactly right. If the House had not been able to pass anything, then Joe Biden's position of refusing to negotiate doesn't seem that unreasonable if your negotiating partner can't tell you what his position is. That's all changed now. Kevin McCarthy pulled off something that's very impressive. Honestly, early on, I didn't think he'd be able to. Getting virtually every Republican on board with a completely reasonable plan to at least address some of the excessive spending. I don't think it's tenable for Joe Biden to continue to say, I refuse to have a conversation about the very spending that's driving our deficits. I just don't think that's tenable. So I think the administration will realize that or come to that conclusion, and then they'll go to the table and something will get worked out, which will at least begin to address the out-of-control spending we've been living with.
I mean, I don't know where the intransigence comes from. It's not all just the president. You know, he has people that are advising him, and then he also has that part of the party that he has seemed to coddle and appease before, the far left, obviously, the progressives. But there was another piece I kept bringing up yesterday with Speaker McCarthy and actually Senator Cruz that Henninger wrote. I don't know if you saw it, where if Donald Trump, former President Trump, is the nominee, Biden basically can do whatever he wants, like he did for the first 2 years, Afghanistan and the border, and nothing stuck because in 2020 it'll happen again. In 2024, he can do whatever he wants.
And the race will be all about Trump. And that's what a lot of Democrats want, both to give them a chance for Joe Biden to get reelected, which I think there's a very high risk of if Donald Trump is the nominee, but also all the down ballot damage that Donald Trump would inflict on Republicans in Senate and House races. So, yeah, I understand that.
So why would President Biden even consider negotiating? That's my fear, is that he's going to. You saw yesterday there was no indication, no movement whatsoever from the press secretary or anyone else.
But as Republicans get out across the country and explain what they're trying to do here, their proposal that, my goodness, we take spending all the way back to where it was when 2022, and then we let it grow, but modestly. Oh, and by the way, the young, able-bodied people with no dependents who are on welfare, we're going to ask them to work. These individual items in this plan are completely reasonable.
Well, Senator, you were there long enough to see what Senator Van Hollen, who I like, yesterday I saw him saying they want, oh man, that Republicans want to follow through on cutting law enforcement in this bill. So they want to defund the police, which they, as we know, Republicans are the ones that wanted to do that. And they also want to pull back on border security, which is also a big Republican plank. Neither one, I mean, they say things with a straight face.
Not but Joe, you're laughing because it's not believable, right? American people will see through this. So they're trying to maintain this position that we're just not going to negotiate. By the way, as you know, every budget deal that's been struck in the last, 40 years has happened in the context of a debt ceiling increase. Yeah. And Joe Biden's been involved in those. This is ridiculous. This is a moment where something modest could get done. The House has put a completely reasonable proposal on the table. Frankly, I'd like to see Republican senators join them, go on record, make it clear to Chuck Schumer that he won't get the 60 votes for cloture on a clean debt ceiling increase that does nothing about our spending. That would also help bring those guys to